Let's go to Brandon. Where is this hand played out of?
This one's played out of Mohegan Sun at 2-5.
Mohegan Sun, a place that I have not been to yet. I hear it's kind of, is it nicer than Foxwoods or?
Yeah, I like it better than Foxwoods. I don't think I've only been to Foxwoods once, but the games are pretty good. You get a good amount of 2-5 going, like on a weekend, like 4 to 6 games.
And do they get a 5-10 or?
Yeah, they get that going every
Oh,
weekend.
nice. What's the mine structure for the 2-5?
Buy-in is a 1K cap now. It used to be
Okay.
800, but now it's 1K. They changed that earlier this last year
They changed it from something
from 800.
from 800 to 1K. And how deep are you guys?
I'm 1700 effective with the main villain.
Okay, so 1700 effective. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So under the gun +1 raised to 15. Middle position 1, low jack, hijack, cutoff, call. I'm in the small blind with 2 black deuces. I call and the big blind calls.
Hero in small blind with deuce of clubs, deuce of spades, +1 to 15. MP, low jack, hijack, cutoff. That's 4 people call. Hero in the small blind with deuces calls. And of course, the big blind, who's going to be getting like 10 to 1, he also makes the call. Is this about the standard open size, just a 3x?
It's a little small. Usually you see like about 20. Occasionally, once in a while, I'll see 15. But I think this player had just sat down, so I'm not sure what he was doing before.
So it's probably like $100 after I don't know what the rake is, probably 5%.
Yeah, I have
right?
105 before the rake.
Yeah, so I'm just going to put it up
7 ways to the flop.
Yeah, 100. Wow, 7 ways. Almost like a bomb pot here.
Yeah. Like I think there's actually 2 people up, so I think everybody was in the
Now, some people in the live chat are saying you could 3-bet this hand. I personally like to have a little bit more playability, and I would much rather 3-bet with stack depth, like some sort of suited-ish connector or even like, a suited Broadway, something like that. Maybe even going down to like king, queen off, ace, jack, something like that, just because, all this dead overlay.
Oh yeah, for sure. I definitely would have 3-bet some hands like that.
Yeah, deuce is just so hard to, it's one of these ones where I will usually call in a spot like this. Okay, so now we are 7 ways. Let's go.
7 ways, and the flop comes down. It's 7 of hearts, 6 of spades, deuce of diamonds.
7 of hearts, 6 of spades, deuce of diamonds. So you flop bottom set here.
Yep.
Yeah.
7 ways.
Okay. Wow.
So I actually I decided to lead out for 50.
All right, so Hero leads for 50. And you know what's interesting about this one? People talk about when do you donk lead? This is sort of the definition of a donk lead, and I think the times to donk lead are usually on these types of low boards where the preflop raiser, for the most part, is not going to see bet bluff just because there's so many players in the hand.
Exactly. Right? That's exactly what I was thinking. It's going to get checked through a lot.
And the other issue with going for a check raise here in a spot like this is if the preflop raiser does check, and then you get somebody in the field that bets, then I like to check raise bluff in spots like this. If you had like 8, 9 of spades or something like that, and a field better, we always talk about this at Crush Light Poker, field better bets. You put a lot of pressure on these types of boards, which I like to call top pair dynamic, meaning it's really hard for a 7 to like continue to call down. Like if you check raise like a field caller who bet on the flop. One other subtle thing here too is I have no problem with your lead whatsoever. I think a lot of times I like a lead even more if the preflop raiser was like in position and this was somehow multi-way. It's hard to sort of set that up because it'd have to go like limp, raise, call. And that's just because if you check and the preflop raiser checks behind, then it just gets checked through. But I have no problem here with the lead. It's just a little bit difficult to play this as a balance because, again, I think I might be doing a fair amount of check raising with a lot of draws to sort of add max fold equity. You can also go for a check raise here just for thick value, like a small check raise, because you have to do things to sort of increase the pot size when it's a little bit small because it's a single raise pot. But anyways, okay, so you lead for 50.
Yeah, my main thinking behind just leading was, the preflop raiser was going to miss a lot and just check, and then I don't want to scare off like, a 7 or a 6 that would call a lead. So I lead for 50, and just the cutoff calls. Everyone else folds.
Wow. Cutoff only calls. Our coach Nate said that if you want to lead, you could lead for 2/3. Yeah, that's a little bit subtle. Maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking after the fact I could have went definitely bigger because there's a lot of draws like 9-8, 5-4, 7-6.
It's just like if you bet 65, you're probably going to get the same type of range to call that 50
does. Yeah.
So,
I hear you.
So cutoff only calls. So now, you're at 200, right?
Yeah, and this guy's more of like like an action player, definitely capable of putting money in the pot. So I think he would have raised off like 7-6. So I don't really think he has that. I think he just has like a one pair or a draw
Okay.
hand.
Could have like a 9, 10, 8, 9. Who knows how crazy loose he's going, 5, 8, 7, something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the turn comes down the four of spades.
All right. So 4 spades comes in. That does complete like a hand like five. That completes 5, 8. Then you always have to be very cognizant of the backdoor flush coming in because,
Yep.
if you bet and get called, he's going to have some hands that call the flop that have backdoor spades in it, 7x of spades, straight draws of spades, stuff like that. But I would definitely still bet here for sure.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I
Yeah.
still bet. I bet 135.
Yeah, this is where I'd probably take a 3/4 to pot sizing here. I'd probably go 150, but I mean 135 is definitely a lot better than like 75 or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no, yeah.
So here bet's 135. I also like continuing with the lead here because your opponent, if he has a lot of like pair plus straight draws and stuff, it's just going to be a lot of check throughs. I feel like here because you look so strong when you lead out on the flop. So I like to continue to lead here. All right, so you go 135.
Yeah, and he just calls again.
All right. So what do you think his range here is?
Still a lot of draws. I mean, he's a 7. I don't think he has any like two pair or higher sets. He definitely would, or a straight. I don't think he has 5-3 or 8-5. This player would definitely raise that. So I feel really good about my hand.
All right, so 470 to the river. Okay.
Okay, and then yeah, the river is the queen of spades.
All right, so that's one where you definitely need to be cognizant. Also, too, it's one of these ones where the portion of his range that is like 7x here kind of it gets really, really hard to call. So not only you're cognizant of the fact that it's like a spade that comes in at the end, but that it's an overcard to what is top pair. There was a hand that I went over in the latest Crush Live poker video. It's a little bit similar to this one where I could sometimes actually see, and I'm not a huge fan of checking the river in spots like, because people just don't value bet really thinly enough. What kind of jumps out at me here, though, is the fact that if we were to say that 7x is not going to call a bet here, and that was sort of his range was like 7x and maybe straight draws that sometimes have like backdoor flush types of things. If he has a straight draw that missed somehow, like a hand like 8-9, something like that, that's continuing to call, now he just ends up with absolutely nothing and he might bluff at it. So it would be more of, wow, like he's got bluffs here and then I'm not going to really get called by worse. So I could consider sometimes checking if you were to say that 7x is not going to call and that he probably would have raised off with like 7-6 by now. I mean, it would suck if you checked and he checked back like 7-6, but it has some merit. And it's just because of the way that the board ran out. Again, I'm not a huge fan of check calling rivers, but it's possible. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, looking back, I kind of agree with you. I think he would have raised anything like two pair straights or higher sets by now. So yeah, I think a lot of his ranges flushes are just like a 7x hand.
So did you check then?
No, I did bet. I bet on 200.
So you would like to have that bet
I
back?
would, yeah. I think in game I just thought I was, with a set I was too strong to, check.
I mean, here's the other thing too. Like, it's a little bit different if the spade was low. I know it's hard to really see this one because if the spade's low, it's going to bring a one-liner, so it's going to change things. But say like, the river, I'm trying to think of, say the board was like 8-9 deuce instead of like 7-6 deuce, right? It was like 8-9 deuce, the turn was a 4, and then the river was like the 3 of spades, right? Where the backdoor came in. That's different because you still very well might get called by top pair. The fact that top pair is an that the queen comes in, it's an overcard here to a 7. I just don't know, like, what are you trying to get called by here?
Yeah, I guess the only hand would be like a 7x hand. Maybe 8s or 9s if he just fights with that pre-flop.
Yeah. Again, I mean, yes, you can absolutely go back and forth with that. And then another thing that you can sometimes implement, although I don't know if this is the time to do it because you're going to get raised by flushes anyways, is once in a while you can throw in a reverse block where if you think your opponent is very skewed towards missed draws, you bet some ridiculously tiny amount to induce a raise. Problem here is that he does have flushes though, and he's going to raise those anyways. But okay, so you bet 200.
Yep, and then he thinks about it for like a minute. and then he raises to 675.
Yeah, here's the
Yeah.
thing. Well, so I mean, we're going to take a look at pot odds here. So you go 200 into 470, so it's 670, and then you add another 675, so it's 12. The 13, right around 1345, 1350, and it's going to be 475 for you to call. So, I mean, you're going to be getting close to 3-1. The issue, what makes this spot really suck, is that you would really have to find some, I think, some maybe even some made hands that are like turning themselves into bluffs, like somehow like ace 7 offsuit with the ace of spades, or 8-9 that just decides to bluff because he doesn't have anything at the end. Like the hands that you were targeting for value, I just don't think are going to turn into bluffs, like 8s and 9s, things like that. It just doesn't usually happen at this level. I hate folding sets, obviously, in games like this, and he kind of made it small. So whenever you're getting like 3-1, but this kind of smells like a backdoor flush here a little bit. And again, I mean, I think we can agree that he's never raising for value here with anything worse. 7x of spades is certainly available, and that's obviously troublesome for you. And he can also sometimes maybe even have like what he thinks is like the mega nuts, like 8-5 of spades, but 8-9 of spades, all these hands, 9-10 of spades, 10-8 of spades. There's a lot of straight draws that have gutters on the flop that can have spades. So there's many combos of backdoor spades that might come in, plus all the 7x of spades. So yeah, it's dicey.
Yeah, like you said, there's really not many bluffs he could have.
So one of the chatters says queen 7 is possible. I don't really, queen, I mean, there's 2 combos of queen 7 suited, right? Only 2 combos of it if he's playing like a regular range. And I don't know if he's raising those hands either. When you take this sizing, when the backdoor comes in, plus when the straights are out there, like you could be leading with 5-8. So that's why I said, did you call?
Yeah, I thought about it for some time. I felt like, against this guy, getting a good price, I did flick in the call. Even though it didn't feel good, I just, one of those ones you just feel like he has it, but couldn't get myself to fold. And sure enough, he flipped over a flush. Not the flush I was thinking. That was Jack 8 of spades.
So Jack 8 of spades.
Yeah, so
Jack 8 of spades.
He floated me on the flop of backdoor straight, backdoor flush.
Oh my God, what is he doing? Well, that's crazy. Oh.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he's getting overcard in some backdoors, but yeah. So
yeah, like I said, this guy was kind of like, like a splashy player. So
Cristiano M says, this is why I don't like leading the flop, because we get here with a super condensed range with no realistic bluffs, and we can easily fold. Our hand feels super face up as strong value, and he raises. But yeah, but still, so what though? I mean, it's still the best way to get value, I think, from up front. I mean, Hero could still have some bluffs like 8-9 here too, as well. Like,
yeah, if he's even turning, it's just like my line is so strong, and I had up to that point I had been like card dead and playing pretty tight. So my image at the table was, like I wasn't doing anything crazy. Yeah. So to him, I look super strong, and for him to raise even a hand like 9-8 is kind of
Well, live and learn, man. I appreciate the call. It's a tough spot. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.